So here with another nighttime video. Apologies, but didn't have time to get out of work today and put together a video. Let me just make sure this thing's recording. Yes. So tomorrow here in White Plains, New York, it's going to be, I heard, like close to 60. So I'm hoping to actually get out and do at least a good couple of 0 to 60 runs, see what time I can get. I know this car's not as fast as the automatic, but hopefully I can get like mid 4s. I don't know. Anyways, this is a Q&A video. A couple people had posted questions about the 2018 Mustang GT, so I thought I'd take this time to drive, let you hear the engine, get on it a little bit, but also answer some questions. So the first question is about Natalia. It's from Natalia, and she asked if the 2018 is better than the 2015 in the rain. So firstly, a disclaimer, I drove the 2016 Mustang GT, but that was only for a test drive, and I didn't drive it in the rain. So I don't really know, I don't really have a comparison, but I can give you my opinion. First of all, these cars are dynoing at about 500 horsepower. As I mentioned before, I've seen guys with dynos from like 490 to even like up to 507. So it's got more power. I don't know if that necessarily equates to less grip in the rain. Got onto there a little bit. But it's definitely got more power ripping on the pavement. So, but I mean, I assume that if you're in the rain, you're not going to be doing what I just did. The other thing is that it has more suspension. It's got better suspension. For example, this car has the MagnaRide dampers, which I'll talk about in another video. But basically, they have inside the cylinder, there's this metallic fluid, or fluid with metallic elements to it, and an electronic coil inside, and it changes the shock absorption up to like or over 1,000, makes 1,000 decisions per second at each wheel. So I'm assuming that would also help in the rain. So at one point, it's got a lot more power than the 2015 Mustang, but on the other side of the spectrum, it's also got better handling, better suspension upgrades, and all that kind of good stuff, at least with the GT Performance package and with the MagnaRide. The other thing is your tires obviously would come into play there. I had summer-only tires on this, and I was slipping around like banana peels. I got the Continental DWS 06s, and the difference is like night and day, at least on the dry pavement, on cold dry pavement. So I think, in short, my guess is that at least with the stuff that I have on this car, the options that I have in this car, it's probably better in the rain. You can get a GT Performance package on the 15, but you can't get MagnaRide. So I think advantage would be 2018 Mustang in the rain. Excuse me. Had a cold like 2 weeks ago, and I just can't get rid of this cough. Another question came from Joe Mama, and he is asking if I can give a recommendation on this 2018, and he's coming specifically from an Evo. I can tell you that I haven't driven an Evo, but I have driven something very similar, and that's the 2017 STI. So all-wheel drive, 4-banger with a turbo. I'm quite used to that, and I can make some observations there. I am doing a review in progress on the STI versus this car. As soon as I've run this car through the ringer a few more days, I'll post a full review of that STI versus this car. But in the meantime, I can share some thoughts. So firstly, do you need all-wheel drive? Do you drive in the snow? Do you drive a lot in the rain? Maybe you're in Seattle, I don't know. Do you care about driving in the snow? So for example, instead of getting snow tires, I was going to get the Blizzaks, which on this car are reportedly awesome in the snow. But I don't really care about snow. Last year I drove in snow once, maybe twice, and I had the all-wheel STI, and actually it wasn't really even that great in the snow. So this year I didn't really care about the snow. I really cared about cold pavement, and that's why I got the Continental Extreme Contact DWS 06s. However, if you're like me and you don't really care a lot about the snow, and if you get caught in it, whatever, you'll do your best to get through it. And if you can't drive in the snow, I'll have someone give me a ride or whatever. I'll take an Uber. If you don't care about the snow, then I would recommend the 2018 Mustang. But if you do care about the snow, maybe you're in Canada or whatever, might be a better idea to keep your all-wheel drive and throw snow tires on it. But I did hear from guys who have S550 Mustangs that they have those Blizzak snow tires, and that it's like riding on a track. So if you want to get the snow tires, then I would recommend getting the 18, even if you are going to drive in the snow. The other thing is, are you going to mod the car, or I guess it depends on what kind of mods you want to invest in the car. So I was going to get, for an STI or an Evo, you got to do a lot of mods to get it up to the horsepower that this car comes with stock. So I was looking at doing STI mods to the tune of like $8,000 to get the car a new turbo, headers, injectors, front-mounted intercooler. Actually, I was looking at a top-mounted intercooler at the time. And then I just thought, you know what? Maybe I'll give the 18 Mustang a try instead of investing all that money in the STI. Get even more horsepower right out the door of the Mustang, and then throw a supercharger on it, and I'm done. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you like to mod a lot? If you do, then maybe you stick with the Evo and mod the hell out of it. When I was getting my STI tuned at Evans Tuning in Pennsylvania, there was a guy with a 900-something horsepower Evo there, and he was going for 1,000 horsepower that day. So that guy's obviously, into modding a lot. If you want to mod every little thing, then maybe you stick with the Evo. If you want to have a car that's a beast out the door, that's like 500 horsepower, you get the 2018 Mustang, and then you throw, some other minor suspension upgrades on it. You can open up the intake, get into exhaust, and then ultimately throw that supercharger on here, and you got over 700 horsepower, and hopefully that's enough to satisfy you. I'm hoping it's enough to satisfy me anyway. The other thing is, what's your driving style? In the STI, I just would often floor it. I would just floor it in second gear with that all-wheel drive. I just drop the clutch, shift hard, get that torque to throw you back in your seat, and have absolutely no worries. But in this car, you do that and you're dead. You'll fishtail. So this car, it's about trying to control your traction. So trying to speed and get as much torque and power as possible while keeping your tires on the ground. And, I'm actually I'm starting to enjoy that, actually. I can't just floor the car, at least, when I'm shifting. I can't just shift hard. I've got to do a little bit more in a controlled fashion, otherwise I'll fishtail a little bit. But at the same time, that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun controlling the wheel. You do have traction control, obviously you can keep that on as well. But ultimately, I guess what I'm trying to say is, what kind of driving style do you prefer? Do you like to just dump the clutch and shift hard and throw the car around, knowing that your all-wheel drive is going to help keep grip and cornering? Or do you want to have this crazy power and manage it? Try to manage it. So I personally prefer everything I just said. I would wholeheartedly recommend the 2018 Mustang. If you're like me, if you do want a lot of power out the door, if you do want the improved suspension and handling characteristics of the new 2018 Mustang, if you want that, if you want to ultimately get something to the tune of like 700 horsepower, that is still under manufacturer warranty, by the way. If you have Ford install that stuff from Roush, which I'm planning on doing. You want to keep that. I know you can't do all that stuff to the Evo or the STI and keep the warranty. Even if you find a mod-friendly dealer, there's a certain point where they're just going to say no. So I do recommend the 2018 Mustang, unless, like I said, you care a lot about the snow, you want to do lots of little mods, and you just like that driving style of dropping the clutch and keeping the all-wheel drive traction, keeping you on the road. So those are the two questions I had. If you guys have any other questions, let me know, and I'd be happy to answer them. Unfortunately, I'm in traffic as usual, so I can't really do anything fun here, but tomorrow during the day, when it's a little warmer, I'm